Hey guys, it's me Chiku from Chiku Study Corner. Today I'll be dealing with the part 3 of the chapter Coordination Compounds. So if you haven't watched the previous parts, make sure you watch it and then continue watching. So let's get into the chapter. So in the previous session, what did we learn? We learned about the important terms related to coordination compounds or coordination chemistry. And also we learned about nomenclature of these coordination compounds. So what is nomenclature? They are the naming of the coordination compounds according to IUPAC rules. So we learned some rules, we dealt with 2 examples also. I hope it's clear. If you have any doubt, please ask me in my comment box. So let's see what we have to learn in this session. In this session, we'll be dealing with, first thing is CFT. What is CFT? That is crystal field theory. That is CFT. So, according to this, what is that? Are ligands. Okay? Ligands are considered to be point charges. And these ligands or these point charges can be either negative or neutral. Okay, it either can be negative or neutral. When it's negative, it's called as negatively charged ion or simply called as ion, and when it is neutral, it's called as dipole. Okay, so I told you we are learning about coordination chemistry. So when you learn about something, first thing that comes to your mind is that coordination entity. So let's take the coordination entity. This is central metal atom, this is ligand 1, this is ligand 2, etc. etc. So we discussed the ligands. Now what is left inside this? That is the central metal atom. So if this is negative or neutral, let's take this to be negative. So how will you balance it? By adding a positive charge. The same way we consider metal as the central metal atom to be positively charged ion. Okay, that is what is to talk about ligands and central metal atom. So now we are discussing about the interaction between the ligand and the central metal atom. The interaction between the ligand and the central metal atom is ionic, arising due to what? The electrostatic. So let's write, what is this? They are ionic interactions. Let's write arising due to what? The electrostatic interactions between them. Okay, so that is what is ionic interaction. Why it is an ionic interaction in CFT? Why is it? It is because there is an electrostatic interaction between what? Both ligands and metal. Okay, so now we have to learn about 2 types of interaction. Why is there 2 types of interactions? Because you can get 2 combinations out of both the ligand and central metal atom. How? Central metal atom is always positive ion, whereas our ligand can be negative or neutral. So this both can form a pair and this both can form a pair, and therefore we have to learn about these 2 cases. So let's see what all are these cases. So in the first case, let's take the ligand to be negative and what? Our central metal atom to be, as usual, positive. So what happens? This kind of interaction is known as ion-ion interactions. And let's take ligand is neutral, and as usual CMA is positive. So what would be that? That would be ion dipole interactions. Okay, so that is what we have to learn about the the 2 types of interactions in coordination compounds. The central metal atom, the CMA, is always transition elements, and what happens? Since they are transition elements, they have d orbitals free. Okay, so let's write free d orbitals. And therefore, in our case, what we have to learn, we have 5 free d orbitals present. Okay, 5 present in case of a free central metal atom. Okay, so now let's see. According to CFT, what happens is the central metal atom in the beginning, they would be equally attacked by these ligands from all the sides. And what does they form? They form a, I'll write, spherical. Like, this doesn't depend on the geometry. Whatever geometry or whatever shape or whatever alignment it has, it never depends on it. But what happens is the ligands in the surroundings would attack the central metal atom from equal and opposite sides. So let's see. So let's write. This is known as what? Spherical symmetrical spherically symmetrical ligand field. Okay, that is what is this. Like, they form a spherical symmetrical structure after these interactions or after these ligands attack from all sides. Since all the 5d orbitals are experiencing the same amount of repulsion, what happens? Their energies are raised equally. So what happens over here? The energies is raised equally. Okay. Next is to talk about the spherically symmetrical structure. After the formation of these spherically symmetrical structure, what happens? These free atoms of these ligands, what would they do? They will attack the degenerate orbitals of the central metal atom, and what is the result of that? As a result, it will split into 2 sets. Okay. So these attack these d orbitals only accordingly to the direction of their geometry of the compounds. Okay. So according to the geometry, they will decide how they will split. So we have to learn about 2 geometries. Now, what all are they? Tetrahedral complexes and octahedral complexes. So let's learn about tetrahedral complexes first. So before telling what's tetrahedral complex is having a structure like this. Okay? Do you get it? I'll show you the structure. And octahedral would be like this. That is 2 bipyramidals, or this is bipyramidal and this is square pyramidal. Okay? So this structures is for both tetrahedral and octahedral. So let's see the splitting up of this orbitals. So tetrahedral. Before talking about tetrahedral geometry, first I'll say we have 5 degenerate orbitals. Am I right? Which are the 5? That is dxy, dyz, dxz. And what is this? That is dz square, dx square minus y square. So that is what is our orbitals. And what happens to these? These would split into 2. That is 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2. What would be over here? Over here, these 3 would come over here and these 2 would move over here. Okay? So that is to talk about the splitting of this. So now, as I told, we learn about tetrahedral complexes. So let's see. Tetrahedral complexes. Undergoing what? splitting. I'm just writing what all are the complex sets. It is undergoing splitting. So let's see how it is. So first what happens is, here we have our 5 d orbitals. And then what would happen? When they reach here, again they are in the same form itself as before. Over here, what is this? This is for free metal ion. Free central metal atom. In the case of free central metal atom, over here, what was that? Spherically symmetrical structure is formed. Okay? And from here, what happens is, it will get split into 2. That is, one would be 1, 2 and 3. The other would be 1 and 2. And then, over here, I'll draw a line. And this line is called as barycenter. So what is barycenter? That is the average energy required for splitting up of this, what you say, 5 d-generate orbitals. So over here we've taken it as E and T2, and their difference, or the difference between them, is known as delta T. Okay? And the fraction that comes over here is 2 by 5 delta T, and over here is 3 by 5 delta T. You might get confused, so just learn that over here there is 3, but you will write only 2. So 2 by 5, because there is total 5 and 2 are taken away. And over here, if you look at this side, what is happening? There should be 5. How many are taken away? 3 are taken away. So that is 3 by 5. So this is to talk about tetrahedral complex. So before discussing about the tetrahedral and octahedral in detail, we have to deal about what? 3 terms that is related to CFT. So let's see what is that. So the first term that we have to learn is crystal field splitting. So what is that? That is the splitting of degenerate d orbitals of the central metal atom into 2 sets. That is 2 different sets. Okay? Different sets of orbitals having different energies in the presence of electric field of ligands. So that is what is crystal field splitting. So what is crystal field splitting? That is the splitting up of the degenerate orbitals into 2 different sets, where what happens? These sets are having different energy levels. Okay? So that is called as crystal field splitting. So the second term that we have to learn is, let's see, crystal field splitting energy. Okay, we mark it as delta O or delta T. So delta O is for octahedral and delta T is for tetrahedral. Okay, so let's see what is this. So delta O, octahedral splitting energy, and this is delta T is tetrahedral. Okay, so what is this? This is the difference between what? The energies of delta O and delta T. Okay, they are the difference. So let's write what is this? Energy difference between what? Between the 2 sets, that is found between the 2 sets of split d orbitals. in a coordination compound. So that is what is crystal field splitting energy. That is represented by delta O or delta T. And delta O is for octahedral and delta T is for tetrahedral. So delta O is the octahedral splitting energy and delta T is the tetrahedral splitting energy. And to talk about what is this crystal field splitting energy, that is the difference between the two split d orbitals. That is what is this crystal field splitting energy. So now we have to learn about what is barycenter. So let's see what is barycenter. Barycenter, that is the average energy of degenerate d orbitals in a symmetrical crystal field. Okay, so what is this spherically symmetrical crystal field? That is also called as ligand field, because these ligands act on all directions of the central metal atom and hence form a spherical structure, and this is also called as ligand field. Okay. So what is barycenter? It is the average energy of degenerate d orbitals in a spherically symmetrical crystal field or the ligand field. Okay, I hope you might have understood these three terms. What were the three terms? That was the first term that we learned was what? Crystal field splitting. The second one was crystal field splitting energy. And the third one is barycenter. So now let's see about these in detail and also about the octahedral complexes and tetrahedral complexes. So as I drew tetrahedral, the graph, the same thing is implied for octahedral also. So I'll just roughly draw it again and then we'll continue to learn about octahedral and then go back to tetrahedral, because octahedral is much easier to learn than that of tetrahedral. So let's see. There are 5 degenerate orbitals, am I right? And what happens? And after the ligands acting on the central metal atom, they would form a spherically symmetrical structure. I'm sorry, there are 6 of them. They will form a spherically symmetrical structure. Okay? And then what would happen? They would split into 2. What all are the 2? There is 3 over here and there is 2 over here. Am I right? So let's see. Over here, which all are the orbitals that we have? We have xy, yz, zx, z square and x square minus y square. Am I right? These are all what we have over here. So when there is splitting, what happens is these 3 would go together over here and these 2 would go together over here. Okay? So, and this is the barycenter. Barycenter. And over here, what is this? This is the ligand field. When it is in the ligand field. And we mark this as EG and over here is T2G. Okay, and the difference between them, this difference between them is marked as delta O, because by that is, I told you delta O is the difference in energy, that is crystal field splitting energy is delta O, because we are talking about octahedral. So this is delta O and this is barycenter and this is a ligand field and this is free metal. Okay, so this is to talk about the graph, or this is a representation of splitting up of our degenerate d orbitals in an octahedral complex. So let's see furthermore. The magnitude of delta O, that depends on some factors. So I'll write it over here. What is that? It depends on the nature of the ligand. Okay, so if the ligand that approaches the central metal atom approaches with ease, then what is that? there is more splitting of what? The degenerate orbital. There's a quicker splitting of degenerate orbitals, and what would happen as a result of that? As a result of that, this is called as strong field ligands. So let's take the next case. So if the nature, it is dependent on the nature of the ligand. So there is strong field ligands, so there should be weak field ligands also. So what is weak field ligands? When the ligands are not approaching the central metal atom with ease, what happens? The splitting reduces, or the speed by which splitting happens reduces, and hence what will happen? They would be called as weak field ligands. So now let's see about the spectrochemical series. So let's see what is that. So we'll write spectrochemical series. Sorry. So what is spectrochemical series? So let's see what's spectrochemical series. The first thing that we have to learn is that is an arrangement of ligands in the increasing order of magnitude of delta O. Okay, that is what is spectrochemical series. So we've learned about so many series, electrochemical series, we have learned about chemical series, we have learned about many series. In the same way, spectrochemical series is an arrangement of ligands in what? The increasing order of their magnitude of delta O. So what is delta O? Delta O is the what? That is a splitting energy, the crystal field splitting energy. So this is what is the spectrochemical series. I, Br, Sc, N minus, Cl minus, S2 minus, F minus, OH minus, and H2O. These are all weak field ligands. Okay? And the ones in blue is known as the strong field ligands. So this is the strong field. And this is the weak field. So this is the electrochemical series. Now let's discuss about the electronic configurations. So let's see. Electronic configuration of octahedral complexes in the presence of ligand field. So this is our next topic that we have to learn. So we have to divide this into two, that is strong field ligands and weak field ligands. So since we don't have space, I'm just rubbing the heading and just extending the table like structure. So let's see. Strong, weak. So first thing, that is we have to take an example. So we'll take the example. The first one is strong, no? So we'll take the example of TiCN 6 times 3 minus. That is what is for strong, strong ligands. And then over here, what is that? TiH2O 6 times 3 plus. So let's see how is it the splitting, and what are the difference between the weak field and strong field splitting. So let's see. So the first one is over here. What is that? Ti3 plus. It is for 3D dash. Okay, and what is over here? Over here Ti is again 3D dash, because we know that it is 3D dash. And then we will draw the our graph. So this is energy. Okay, energy. And over here, what after splitting, how do we get it? We get it as 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2. Am I right? Is this how you get it? Over here, what is this? This is Eg and this is T2G. And over here also, the same thing only we get. Eg and T2G. Okay. So what happens over here? Over here, let's see about the delta zero value. Because what is delta O or delta zero? What is that? That is the energy, the crystal field line or crystal field splitting energy. So delta O is high over here in this case. Okay, the delta O value is high in the case of strong field ligands. I told you, no? And then we have 3D dash, 3D1. So what do? We put an arrow like this. Okay, in the same over here also it is 3D1. So you will just mark an arrow. Now we'll discuss about the D4 configuration. That is also the similar way. What is that? Over here you have 3. Over here you have 2. And over here what is the difference? There is 2 arrows. Okay? And over here what is this? Same thing. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Isn't this the same? So what is the difference over here? The difference is delta O is high and delta O is low. Okay? The same way D4, D5, D6, D7, D8, D9 and D10 is what we have to learn. So the images of these are like this. So friends, that's all for today's lecture. I hope you might have understood it and liked it. If you have understood it and liked it, please give my video a huge thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel if you're new to it. And share my video with your other friends. So in this session, we just completed about just octahedral, okay? The splitting of octahedral complexes. And I just give you a small introduction on tetrahedral complexes. So stay tuned for the next video where I will be discussing about the tetrahedral complexes. So see you soon. Bye-bye.